Hello, friends. This is Leo. Welcome to the post-market report. So let's take a look at the market profile first, and then we go to the pivot point, and then we go and take a look at the order flow. Okay. So the market profile indicates that there is a bit of a congestion between these areas. Okay. So anything that goes above or beyond would be a trending. Okay, would be trending. The market has opened at the yesterday's value area high, and it couldn't go above the previous day's couple of days back's point of control, and it rotates from there, and it fell down at the end of the day, meeting the point of control of yesterday. Okay, and this is the structure of the market profile, and the expectation was this to be taken out, but being an expiry, the option sellers played a pretty good game in terms of keeping the market in a very narrow range. Okay, now let's go and take a look at the Bank Nifty structure as well, which means a market profile. Okay, similar structure. So we were having an tight range for the last few days. Anything that breaks above this point or breaks below this point would be a trending sequence. But again, the market has opened at the value area high. It tried to hit the couple of days previous value area low, but it couldn't even go to that level. And it was showing a lot of weakness, and then it closed within the fair value of the previous day. Okay. So this is expected, and the reason being that being an expiry day, right, we could see this kind of a behavior, although that, one would expect the moment to be on the bullish side. Okay. Okay. Let's go and take a look at the Nifty future chart. So Nifty has opened above the CPR. Okay. And it went all the way up. It hit at the H3 level of the candle pivot. Okay. And it was having a tough time crossing those levels, and it fell back at the end of the day to the CPR. Okay, so it was a complete sideways move for the entire day, but late in the afternoon when the euro market opens, market fell down a little bit, and I consider this as a kind of a profit booking. Okay, and let's go and take a look at the order flow chart. Okay, now when the Nifty has opened, there's a lot of buying and selling activity, but at some point there was a question I have asked in the live trading room where, what would we see this portion, right? And the buyers were trapped at these level, which is at 23,777. And after that, Nifty has visited pretty close to that point, but it never was in a position to take that level, right? And if you notice one thing which is interesting, you could see the magenta color, right? You can see the min delta, right? Min delta, and then you have the prominent POC. Okay, this is called PPOC. You can see this color, and this is a kind of a reversal point for the day. Okay, and the prominent POC at the top, which means that sellers are pretty active. Okay, in this case it's kind of a passive sellers. Okay, in other words, we can also say that buyers got exhausted, but technically the buyers got trapped at these levels. Okay, and market was trying to move in a very zigzag fashion. Okay, and post which you could see another point of control which has happened at around before 12 o'clock, right? Before the euro opens. And after that, market has fell down, and you can see all these buying and selling activity. There was much of an activity today, and because, being an expiry day, there wasn't much of an action today. But we can see that there is some bit of a aggressive selling happened at these levels with a decent volume. And post which, when it took a breakdown, right, the market fell. And I consider this again as a kind of a profit booking. Okay, so this is how we could spot the important zones in the order flow, right? One area is this, okay, and another area is this. This indicates a bit of a weakness on the bullish side, okay, and these are all custom indicators, which is continuing the trend. Okay, so this kind of a helpful tool in visualizing things like where we could play the game. Okay, so this is the Nifty. Let's go and take a look at the Bank Nifty. So we have seen that Bank Nifty has opened above the CPR. When anything that opens above the CPR, it is technically considered a bullish tone for the day. But at the open itself, we could see a large candle, sell-off candle, and this was a previous day high. Okay, again previous day high, and it was rotating around these levels for the entire day, and it fell down right to the L3 level. This is Camarilla L3 level. When you have this pivot point, which is a central pivot point, right? CPR. And when you have this L3, this will act as a good combo zone. Okay. So I wouldn't technically, pinpoint to the particular line or to the particular price, but you should consider this as a kind of a zone. Okay. So this is how, probably one should take a look at it, because for intraday players, it is important to know the levels. But for the swing traders like me, a zone is good enough for me to play the game. And you could see a lot of, indications, and it could be very difficult for us to trade today with this kind of indications because the market is completely in a sideways. And here is the same situation with Nifty as well, right? But still, right, you had this indication, this is going to be a cost to cost, and you had this indication again, this is going to be a cost to cost. And, so even if we follow this, script, your risk is going to be very, very minimal. Okay. And that's the idea of me putting the script in place. Okay. Now let's go and take a look at the Bank Nifty, right? Now, okay. So Bank Nifty had a sell-off right at the open, and we can see that a lot of selling happening at the open, right? And the delta itself is negative in terms of a percentage, and also the delta itself is negative, right? And 60% negative. So we could see that when we relate this to the this particular candle, we could understand that the sellers are pretty active on these zones, right? And while we're looking at the order flow, it was a continuous zigzag move throughout the day, and there wasn't any kind of a good trade facilitated either by the buyers or by the sellers for the entire day. Okay, though we could see bit of a magenta color, right? Or sorry, here's a cyan color, not magenta, cyan, right? And I don't see this volume as pretty convincing for me, right? To tell myself, yes, our buyers are doing a good job. But yeah, there were attempts made to push the market high, but they could not do a good job. Okay, so always remember there has to be a volume confirmation. Okay, so without volume confirmation, every move is going to be a fake move. Now, even in this case, we could see that this is a kind of a contrary trade, right? And we can see that the cyan color, which is a bullish, but the volume is pretty low, right? And we can see this magenta color at the top, this color, and this indicates that, sellers are pretty active at this zone. This is called prominent POC. Okay, and this is one of the feature that is available on the Go charting, right? And you can use it straight away. This is not my indicator, but this is very helpful if at all if you guys want to use it for your trading, right? I just make a note of this, but I rely on the real data, right? And with this, the market made a good move at the later part of the day, and that took the market down to the CPR, right? So if you scroll to the right, you can see that there is a continuation, and market has given a good move at the end of the day. Again, this is an effect from the Nifty, right? In fact, Bank Nifty was weak for quite some time. Okay, so I don't expect Bank Nifty to lead the index for the day, and it is just following the Nifty's structure. So one would expect, unless otherwise a miracle happens, the Bank Nifty would go in a higher range. But that is not the case today, right? So it's going to it was a tricky day today. There are days that you have to sit and watch. You wouldn't have much opportunities for a particular day, and hence trading is a very, very patient game. And if you really wanted to be a consistent player, you need to wait and watch and wait for the opportunity to come to you. right? Instead of you go and chasing an opportunity. Okay. So I hope you find this video very useful, right? If you like this content and if you feel it is, very informative, please share your comment, type order flow on the comment box. And if you have not subscribed yet, go and give a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Jai Hind. Bye-bye.